Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. I think Reed made a lot of interesting points, but unfortunately they're kind of cuffed in these assumptions that everyone kind of, paints a really weird picture about the economy of in really unfortunate terms. Two key misassumptions here. First is this argument that Reed makes about taxes being taken out of the economy, and second, that this will disproportionately hurt small business owners. On the first point, about taxes being taken out of the economy. Absolutely. I think Reed's correct in saying that the money does go out of rich people's pockets and somewhere else. But I think the really big assumption, or the big kind of flaw in his argumentation, is that the money doesn't just disappear. It doesn't just kind of go poof when taxes are enacted. But rather, they can and they should be put to more productive uses. What do I mean by this? We all know that consumption, or rather tax cuts in general, are a really bad way to drive the economy, in times of recession especially, versus things like infrastructure spending and actual government spending that boost the economy in a really meaningful way. The reason for this is the arguments I already gave you about why wealthy people have an incentive to actually save the money that they actually gain back from the government in the form of taxes. This means that not as much money gets recycled back into the economy. On the flip side, the side that I'm arguing for, if you allow people to tax the wealthy and actually get this money and put it in the government's hands, we're able to go ahead and do things like infrastructure spending, which generate jobs, are good for the economy writ large, and are highly facilitative towards other kinds of businesses that rely on this infrastructure to move their goods and services across the country. The second point Reed makes is an interesting one as well. It talks about small businesses. I think he's making a fundamental kind of conflation of corporate taxes and income taxes. If you're a business, you're not taxed as an individual, you're taxed as a corporation. Never in my last speech did I tell you that corporate taxes ought to be raised on corporations. I'm saying that wealthy individuals ought to go ahead and receive a higher amounts of tax. So the kind of mom and pop stores who are actually middle class and don't actually make that much money aren't going to be taxed any higher. It's going to be the millionaires and billionaires out there who are throwing their money around in fancy derivative accounts and credit suites that will be most disproportionately affected and should be paying a fair share of their price. That was longer than... I think it actually cut off after the first...
Yeah, I think the first argument cut off perfectly at 1:30.
Yeah.
So I could just chop off your second argument.
You could just chop that off.
Nobody's going to be like, oh, he didn't respond to a second argument when they watch these things.
Definitely.
So.
I have an LOR.
You get an MOC. Go.
Great. I get an MO?
You get an MO. It's yourself.
Okay, cool. Let me give that.
Ready whenever you are.